Good. Good morning. Today is September 13th, 2023. The time is now 9:01 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. I'll call this meeting to order. If you do have cell phones, please silence them at this time. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Showing me you did that already. So anyhow, if you could please join me now for the pledge and for the invocation. Courtney, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I'm going to do the honors today. And the reason is, you know what Monday was?
9/11.
Do you remember where you were?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
You remember that we're in the greatest county in the state. We got a lot to be thankful for. And we owe a lot of that to our first responders and our military. And so I'd like to recognize that we have an enemy out there that celebrates death. We celebrate life. Always remember, and always remember that day. So I would like to start with 1 minute, and we're going to time it, of silence, because I'll bet you didn't get to do that. Please bow your heads. Think about where you were. Think about the people jumping off that building. That's 1 minute. Small time, but a great thought. Don't forget. Let's be thankful. Heavenly Father God, we thank you for all our blessings, but most of all, for thy only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. We ask that in his name, we please bless this meeting of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. Send down this morning thy holy, powerful spirit, who strengthens all Christians with wisdom, patience, kindness, and goodness, so that we can solve all the perplexities, problems, and choices that come before us today. And finally, we ask for your blessing and love on all our citizens of this great county. Grant us the grace to ask what thou would have us to do, that the spirit of wisdom may save us from all false choices, and that in thy light He may see light as we convene this board for and to the service of our great Custer County citizens. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Kelly, could we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day.
Here.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner F.
Present.
And Kelly Camper, clerk to the board.
All right. And audience introduction, we'll start right here.
David Lutz, Wetmore.
Stanley Day, Wetmore.
Stephen Wilcox.
Joni Wilcox.
Matt Miles. Will Parker.
Carolyn Parker.
Len Arrigo.
Joy Anderson. Nadine Henderson. Bruce Barr.
Colin Gray, Wetmore. Courtney Davenport, Wetmore.
Okay, and we have a few people online as well. If someone goes to speak later, again, I'd ask for you to identify yourself for the record. Thank you.
Also, just a point of process here, we've got microphones set up today. You all, last time we were down here, had a hard time sometimes hearing us, sometimes we get soft. And speak up, this mic will have to turn on. And then if you would like, and if you're gonna speak, come up here, you can pick up that mic and turn it on. And but according to Jordan, don't stand in front of those speakers, stay in that corner right over there, or you'll blow all our ears out. We have to remember to turn this mic off. So we'll make sure everybody can hear today.
Thank you. Any amendments to the agenda?
No, the only thing I'd like to mention is, I know there were two items that the citizens had asked us to put on the agenda. They are there. They're in the releasing of the 16th BOCC executive session. And also you asked for a list of things to be presented in the meeting. And rather than put it on the agenda, we had a discussion to talk about how to handle that. And there's a lot of different items on those lists that affect different people, if not just for the commissioners and that. So what I would like to see and suggested, but it was suggested by us, is put them together as you go through the study you're doing and all the research, and ask for the next meeting, here's the agenda item you would like to see presented. So we can get it on the agenda in plenty of time, get prepared for it, whoever the people you're asking questions for. So that's how you can handle it.
I believe I was gonna reach out. I was gonna do that through my commissioner items, but I would speak to, I think, Joy, you're kind of spearheading that, I know, on your emails and things. And I know you guys sat down and spoke with Kelly the other day, correct? And I would entertain a meeting with you to personally answer your questions so that you had those answers. I think that would be a good and prudent way to do that. So I would suggest I'll be up there all day long Wednesday. If there was a time there that would work for you to come, you guys to come by and sit down and meet with me, I would offer that time up.
That'd be next Wednesday.
Yes,
Okay.
if that works for you guys. And I have printed out that list of questions, the ones that I am able to answer. I will have answers for you on those
Okay.
at that time, if that works for you.
All right. That sounds great.
So I think that might be better than taking, because of the length of that list, doing that and lengthening out one of our meetings, because they tend to get lengthy anyway. So I would offer that time up. So I won't address that during my commissioner items.
Excuse me, Kevin, you said you were available all day Wednesday?
Yes,
In Rutland? Okay.
I will be in West Cliff.
Westwood.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Right.
So did you have any amendments to the agenda, sir?
No, sir.
All righty. Have no minutes today. Commissioner items, Commissioner Epp.
Reached out to Matt Carver for the roof on the recycle bale barn. guess that's what we want to call it. He's got maybe another local, so we got 2 locals and 1 from Front Range. So he's gathering those all up together. They're all gonna be under 25,000, so. We'll see what he gets for this 3rd and final bid, and then we'll award, probably put that on the agenda for the end of the month.
Do you remember what that grant was for? Or that's for the office, not for that roof?
No, it's for
It's
the
for the
roof,
barn,
yeah,
Uh,
OSB.
because the volunteers didn't want to get up on the roof, and
Okay.
we didn't want them to get up on the roof. I don't want to get up on the roof anymore.
do you recall what that grant amount was that we got from COG?
The one that Tim Harmon got was 50 grand.
Okay. We got one from them, a mini grant. Cause they asked me about that the other day, so
Okay.
I'll have to check into that, cause that was awarded to the county, I believe, for that roof project.
And I'll talk to the recycle board tomorrow afternoon. I'll go to their meeting tomorrow afternoon, so.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I got.
Couple things that are of interest. Airport board had their meeting. And a couple things came up. They got a person that had resigned, so they're gonna be presenting us with whoever they're gonna nominate to be his replacement. Also, the state has given all the airports in the state an opportunity to get a lot of equipment from DIA. They just redid a whole bunch of stuff, including their runway lighting. And so we got all the lights that we need for the airport for free. And we're gonna hold them back for now until we decide if we put them in wide enough so that if we get the runway the way it should be, it needs to be 25 or 10 feet on each side wider. Because right now, the biggest airplane that's in there is the BOCC, which is built for it. The wingtips of that airplane stick 5 feet over the edge of the runway, so it needs to be a little wider. We got that airplane off the runway and into the hangar. They're gonna figure out what to do with the one that had a little bit of a smack up out there on the landing. Guy turns out to be a low-time pilot, wasn't used to crosswinds, came up from Texas and tried to land, and it wasn't that bad. The winds weren't that significant. They were 10 to 20 miles an hour gusting. Not that hard to land in. So just a mistake. And so it'll cost $50,000 to $100,000 to fix that airplane. A lot of money when you stop an engine with a propeller on the runway. The other thing, I went over the Upper Ark meeting on Thursday. We're gonna have a presentation before Christmas on the Lake Deweese project, where they're did their study to raise the level of the water 4 feet. And that provides, I forget how, I didn't write it down, I wish I had, the millions of cubic feet of water storage additional to use for release. That's a big deal. It's worth to have everybody see what it is and what they're doing and what their plans are. And I'll schedule that sometime before Christmas. I'll let you all know when they can do it. Also, I was there, took advantage of the fact that the chip seal contractor for the airport runway is over there, EMS, pavement maintenance services. And talked to the guy in person, and they will be up sometime after the 30th or near the 30th of September. Right when it's cold, but not freezing, so that the cracks are as wide as they can, the cracks it. And that's in the plan. And finally, the good news. Okay, go ahead, Bill.
On Lake Deweese, when they make a presentation, are they gonna be able to talk about the algae issue? Or is that?
No, that's
Does
around.
that affect every reservoir in the state?
Yeah, no. The algae is an issue on every reservoir in the state when it's hot. And things do get that build up. Right now, the lake is safe. They did talk a little bit about that. There's no issues with it right now. But we can ask them questions what they know, certainly. But that, we'll make sure they do. And that's actually a Round Mountain. I'll be presenting some of that too. Also, the good news for the citizens, when I've been getting badgered, and I know Kevin was in the past, he may not be getting quite as bad. TV channel that are free. You had to call every other day on that, because that is annoying. And I did manage to get a meeting, and I did get a hold of the chief engineer of KRDO. And he is setting up a meeting with his boss and or the two vice presidents of the corporation. They understand it's their job to provide the TV. There's no issue there. They left it off last with the van that they were going to take up and put in the new equipment and replace our little shed with their thing. They're still going to do that. But in the meantime, surprisingly enough, he was said, "I'll be right up." For channel 13, and he was planning to be here last Monday. Guess what happened Monday? It was storming like crazy and raining like crazy, and he was supposed to be here at 10 to meet with Vince, and he was going to take him up and they have a discussion. That hadn't happened. I've called him since, and they'll be back up to work on what they can to get what we got going again as soon as they can. And then for you, Kevin, Vince, I'll try to get a hold of the BLM and make sure that they don't mind us blowing up a road, making it wider up at the top, so it's a little more accessible in the wintertime, especially. With Vince saying he thinks he can do it without blowing up anything, get the rippers on a B6, he said, but we'll see. Anyway, that's for now. And,
KKTV.
KKTV, they've gotten a hold of them. He wanted to set it up between the two of them. His sisters did. They pal together, so they're setting up a meeting with both of them up there.
Okay. Because KKTV is the one that's still down, correct?
Yeah, but I don't know if KRDO is up. I haven't heard. It was down also, but it was off and on, and he was going to come up and see what he could do.
Okay.
All right, that's all I know for now.
Question on that?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of, not a question related to communication. Matt Miles, good morning. I've been battling cell phone service at my house since I've been here, 12 years. And at one point in the past, I called Verizon 7 or 8 years ago, and I spent 3 hours riding around the county one night. Didn't have anything to do with them checking the signal and all, and they said there needs to be another Verizon tower. And at that point, years ago, I tried to get with the commission to get them to get with Verizon. Nothing ever happened. And I'm still battling cell phone service. I took it upon myself to call Verizon last week, and then they called me back, like they said they would, after I talked to them about cell phone service. And they have said, and we will see, if they do it, that they're going to send an RF engineer and a technician to the county September 20th. And I told them this commission, this commission would get some action if they needed help. I was pretty sure they'd give it to them. And they're supposed to send an RF engineer and a technician here the 20th. And they tell me they're going to put another tower up for the valley within the month of October upcoming. And we'll see what they do, but we're gonna, I talked to them about Round Mountain, and I said, I don't know if that's optimal because of the traffic going down 69. Earlier, I guess last week, I had a traffic jam in front of my driveway, but people stopped using a cell phone because they know as soon as they go down the hill, it's over. And I told them probably Antenna Mountain wouldn't work. It would probably have to be on the west side. But again, that's their job, that's not mine. But I knew the county, I said, would work with them. So we'll see if they show up the 20th. And they're supposed to call me. And then I'm going to put them in touch with either you, Mr. Day, or you, Mr. Lucas, or you, Mr. Kanda. And then you can talk to them, whosever job it is. Tell me if somebody wants to be in touch with them, then I'll see if I can get them in touch. So
They say they wanted to put on Bill Parker's place.
I don't know where they were. I have no idea. I mean, that's their job. They got to study.
All right. We might, if I can, I'm gonna rein us in for just a minute, and we can bring this stuff back up under public comment here in just a minute. We'll finish our commissioner items if we can. And then we'll move on and get that here in just a minute on the public comment.
Just a quick query on this topic, if you don't mind, Commissioner Day.
Go ahead.
Does that include, because you're the representative here, does that include Wetmore at all, this television station or cell service? I'm in the.
I was gonna-
travel here and we have no TV, we have no cell
No,
service. period.
Wetmore is non-existent. I'll go ahead and speak to that. I'm trying to rein,
Okay, I just wanna
I'm
know.
trying to rein
I
it
just
in
wanna
here.
know if you'll
but,
talk about the county, I mean.
I was gonna say welcome to Wetmore because none of the cell phones work here in Wetmore. TV, if you don't have a direct line of sight to Cheyenne Mountain, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it from where you're at,
No
more
problem.
than likely.
Yeah, Just
Not unless you got a real tall tower.
okay.
Uh,
I don't.
So, anyhow, I'm gonna rein us in here and bring us back to where we are on the agenda. Thank you. Anything else, Bill?
No, that's it.
Okay. We all attended the DA budget hearings the other day. We do have another meeting scheduled for that, so for information. Waiting to get a little more information from the DA's office again before we can speak to that. I had repeaters on my list to ask you about. Thank you for that.
Beat you to it.
I also attended the tripartite board meeting down there at UOCOG yesterday, as a matter of fact, and we approved the plan of action that Molly has put together there and moving forward for her putting in for her grants. That will now come before the UOCOG board for approval so that she can get that put in. And we have on our agenda today the CDBG grant. That's through UOCOG as well. And then I don't know, I see you responded to Christy Scram for that meeting that she's trying to get set up. If you could probably check your calendar and get back with her on some dates for that meeting with Mount
Yeah, I
Carmel.
thought that and I didn't get a chance to add 2 cents.
And then we all got I don't know if you guys saw that, but CCI is needing us to designate a voter representative for the October 6th legislative meeting. And they need us to designate one of us as the voting representative at that meeting. So I would like to go ahead and get that done at this time if we could. That will be either an in-person or a Zoom meeting.
When is it?
It is October 6th. I'm not sure if there's a time on this particular. They gave us the form to fill out, but it is. We
You know what
need to have
time of
that
day?
form filled out. I do not know at this time. I'd have to go back and find an earlier email.
I've got a meeting with Action 22. It's their annual
Okay.
meeting. It's 8 to 12. After that, I'd be free, but either you two guys can.
Do you have availability that day or do you? I would be. That's Friday, the 6th.
No, I can do that.
Would you like to be, basically what they will be taking votes on the items that they're trying to move forward or to support, to oppose, or to take no position
Okay.
on that. And if you have anything in between now and then, they do have pretty regular meetings. I think you should be getting those emails from CCI on those legislative meetings. And then if you need anything or would like anything from us,
Okay.
holler, and then, but they only want one representative from each board.
Hey, just on that note, I mentioned the other day, I have a summary of all the legislative actions that are going on that I picked up at the last CCI meeting. And I was gonna ask Jordan to post them, but I'll get you a copy of them.
Okay.
Just because they
That would
give
be
a real
good.
good summary of all the stuff and they had positions that CCI had on it
Okay,
right now. And it would be useful, I think, for you.
Okay.
And I'll get it to you.
all right.
All right, and I will try to find the time of day on that one, and if you can't, and I will look for that, and then I will fill this form out with your name in it.
Sounds good.
Okay, that is all I have. Excuse me. Kelly, do you have anything for us today?
Actually, I do have one thing, so I emailed you guys yesterday and told you that I had taken off the, IGA with, or MOU, I don't remember which it was, with the fire department, put it on the end of the month. After talking with Terry at the fire department again, she thinks that before they come to a meeting where, because once they come to a meeting, they're gonna want a decision. And so she thinks that you guys ought to do, all the entities need to get together and have a workshop to go over it and then bring it to a meeting. So if you agree with that, I'll let her know. And then she said she would be willing to set that up and she'll reach out to everybody and
Good.
get some dates and does that work? Okay.
I think that would be good because there's, what, 4 or 5 entities
Yeah,
altogether on that.
the county, the sheriff's office, fire district, school district, and the EMS.
No, sounds good.
I'll do that then. I'll take it off that month end agenda. And she'll probably be the one to reach out to you guys to look for dates for that.
Okay,
That's all.
sounds good. Okay, now we have public comment, so we can, if we need to,
Len Arrigo, Westcliff. You know, regarding this cell phone and internet service, that's a problem everywhere across the county. That's not a secret. We all know that. And we're a small county. And so for companies to come in and to put in the infrastructure to really make it good is really not cost effective. I mean, we have to accept that. But with that said, I do know the MTA has federal grants out there. And there are people that are really good at putting those grants together. And these grants are meant for rural communities. I'm not sure that within this group, we have the knowledge base to go do those grants, but I can tell you, I'm aware of people that do this stuff. In my corporate life, I worked with the company, you may have heard of EagleNet Communications, that wrote a grant and got 140 million or so, and they were supposed to come out and do this, and it turned out that they didn't do a very good job. I'll just leave it at that. But there is still grant money out there that's meant specifically to do this, and I think it's something that should be considered to help us out, because one cell tower ain't gonna help us. You know, we need a lot more than that, and truth be known, we need fiber is what we really need. I know CenturyLink came out and put fiber along the road, then ran copper to the houses. That's DSL. That's, you know, that's antiquated. It doesn't give you anything. So anyhow, I think there's a way we can do it. It's just going to take effort and endurance on our part.
thank you. I might speak to that real quick. I know the county is working on the fiber project. I think probably one of these days, Bill will have an update on that, because it's,
Matter of fact, since you brought it up, and I'm glad you did, because I didn't write it down. Kathy Rice is setting up a meeting for the town of Silver Cliff, Westcliff, and us. I asked them to do that for the broadband update. And I think it's on the 24th is what they're proposing. But let me send an email to you. She's gonna coordinate that. And I'll send it to you. But that's open to the public, too, that broadband program. Where we are together, all three entities, putting in the fiber up from Walsenburg to Texas Creek. And then from Westcliff down to Pueblo or to Canyon City, picking up somewhere in there. And so, and then that takes care of that. We got grants, and as a matter of fact, at that meeting, the reason they have the meeting is they want us to sign they're applying for a grant. We have to co-sign on each entity. So they'll present that at that meeting, and we'll be in position to sign it after the briefing. They need it by the 30th. That's when it's due. So that's a heads up, and that does tie into exactly what you said, Kevin. They're gonna pick up the phone problem and break or in the hardscrabble down there with the 525 people that are out with fiber going to them. But we need a tower too for the outreaches on the cell phones. So, something to think about. Problem you gotta think about though, we don't want to be a utility. That's not our job. That's, we can do a government sponsored or GoCo kind of thing. But so we gotta try to roll that kind of in, because we sure don't want to get into the business of being liable to keep those things going. It's hard enough just keeping KRDO and KKTV the road to get the TV guys up there to fix it. Two things.
Thought I saw another hand here a second ago. Matt?
It's kind of an aside. Starlink is somewhat of a game changer, but it's pretty expensive. I met a guy last week riding ATV up there. Using pass, I guess, and he and his wife are both coders, computer programmers, moved here, both of them working out of their houses because of Starlink. So that is low impact or no impact, high paying work. And I think we're starting to see those kind of people move to the county, which is obviously, I think, good, because it's no impact work, and but still it's expensive. So whatever I can do, I'll try to do to get Verizon here. I mean, we'll see what they do. I think they're gonna follow through this time, and they need a tower here in Westwood too,
Wetmore.
or Wetmore.
Definitely, we're on the edge of the abyss here. That swallows that and AT&T as well. So if you get Verizon done, go ahead and jump over and buy an AT&T phone, and then you can work on that side here.
Well, relatively speaking, Matt, on the Starlink thing, I have the service, it's very good. And 4 of 6 of my neighbors, new neighbors, veteran coder does work. Another guy does computer work, and we just enjoy the service. My neighbor enjoys the service, but yeah, it's really, relatively speaking, it's inexpensive compared to what Viasat. Have you heard of Viasat?
Oh, yeah.
They were half the price of Viasat and 10 times better. So, but side note, little ad for Starlink. They're good.
No hands online. Okay,
We still in public comment?
yes, we are.
Well, I'm gonna read this. I've been jotting a note and I've been thinking about this a lot. So, our country has been on a moral and ethical decline for years. And they took a major step with COVID-19 scamdemic. I noticed that Custer County took an impressive stand to not require masks, et cetera. That's prior to me coming here. It appears that Custer County still believes in liberty more than other Colorado counties, but it's still being attacked locally too. The patriots of Custer County are working diligently to maintain the longstanding character and conservative values. Unfortunately, it seems the BOCC has deviated from prior pro-Custer County and historical conservative position. Most noticeably started about a year ago and culminated with this county manager debacle. I know that's been talked about, and there's stuff still going on about this. We need to stop asking for handouts that ultimately have strings attached from our government. The state government is not on the same path as Custer County. So I'm just relaying that to our current board. That I'd like for y'all to return to
pre-COVID agenda. And last I checked, this county was more pro-constitution, individual rights, pro-second amendment, free markets, pro-life, pro-business, strong military, and strong borders. That's not what we're getting from our state government or our federal government. I'd like for Custer to retain those characters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, David Love.
Thank you. Anyone else before I move on? We have no unfinished business. New business. First item would be the consideration of approving the Upper Arkansas Area Development Corporation CDBG grant. That is a subunit of the Upper Arkansas Area Council of Governments. This is a grant that they're closing out their old grant and opening the new grant. You gentlemen have that paperwork in your packet. And that is what this action would be doing, would be helping them to close out their previous CDBG grant and to open the new one.
Before I make a motion on that, if or Lucas does, explain what it does, Kevin.
Let me pull that up.
Can you hear him back there? Are we okay?
Let me take another drink. My throat is getting hoarse, or my voice is getting hoarse.
I'm just concerned. I want to make sure we're not overlapping anything else in doing that.
Okay. And it's an economic development grant that they facilitate through UACOG. And this has to do with they can address job creation and retention. They can give small business loans through the COG with this. And they have there's a minimum of a $5,000 loan that they use with a maximum of 125. Anything over $100,000, they require approval through the OEDIT Business Loan Fund Director. This grant allows them to give these low-cost loans to help with housing, with small businesses in the service area that is served by UACOG, which includes Custer, Fremont, Chaffee, there's 5 counties in there, but
Lake County.
Lake
Park
County and Park, I
Fremont,
think, yeah, so Werfno is not in our COG district. They're in a different district. So that's basically what this is, and in this application, it goes through all of their guidelines and everything that are set forth on that. And so that's what this looks like. I would entertain a motion, and if you,
Yes. I'll move what's the how's it worded? We approve so we're approving the grant application. What you just said approve the grant.
yes, the CDBG grant application, I guess, would be proper on that.
Okay, I'll move to do that.
I'll
So
second.
move.
I'll second.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to approve the Upper Arkansas Area Development Corporation CDBG grant application. Discussion.
Okay, does it commit us to any money that we gotta put up front? Are we matching anything?
No, this is, there is no monetary cost to the county for this. And Fremont County has agreed to be again the fiscal agent for that. And so you know that we are one of the participating counties, so where we posted his public meeting the other day. That was one of the requirements. He had that posting, and then this is the last box for him to check to submit this grant, is the approval from all of the different counties and entities in the COG.
And it appears that this is all for starting businesses, and but it's for job retention, especially full-time job retention.
I believe, I thought
Job
there was
creation.
something on some housing in there, but I may be mistaken. That might be a different program that COG administers, so my apologies on that.
Now, I'm trying to find what
I was trying to run on the fly here
that's all.
to look through here and describe everything here. I'll get to you in just a second. Here,
Okay.
didn't want your arm to get sore holding it up there. The COG does administer quite a few small business loans. I know they different businesses, even one of which I know this last year we were discussing was a logging operation, a small logging operation for equipment and things of that nature.
Businesses that will not be considered include speculative real estate, residential projects, gambling, marijuana, agricultural production, non-job generating projects like storage units and large scale refinancing. So. Anything else?
Good news, it says here also that they can be used in conjunction with, I'll read it. Funds are used to pay a portion of such a fee or assessment that relates to capital costs of such public improvements that are financed from other revenue sources. So that's good. Helping. There are other grants like our ARPA stuff that we got.
Any other discussion here? Oh,
And just as a reminder, Wendy Rusk sat on this board, used to sit on this board to help administer these grant funds. She quit 2 years ago, I think, and you guys have never replaced her. And I think somewhere in those emails that we were getting from him, he talks about somebody appointing somebody to.
okay.
So just since those appointments are coming up, just a good idea.
I will get with him before we make those appointments in and make a note on that. Sorry, I had to write that down before I forgot it. Joy.
Roy Anderson.
Hmm.
I'm just wondering, in light of what the gentleman in the front row was talking about in terms of not accepting as many government handouts, how will we view, this seems like a perfect example to actually take into consideration and discuss where is that line? Like how much of this can we do for ourselves? And where are the strings attached to this, taking this money?
The hard reality is, if we didn't have grant money, we couldn't run this county. The same with the UACOG. They probably operate on, I'm gonna say right at 100% of their funding comes through grants. The programs that they deal with, which is, programs like this, they deal with, low income housing. They deal, with the, Head Start in Fremont County, with the WIC program, with a lot of these other programs. They are almost entirely funded through grants. And it's been stated here before, to provide the services that we provide, we could not do that without grant monies. We can pick and choose which grant monies we accept and don't accept. And I think that's where we need to be cognizant, because nothing is free. And we all know that. Every dollar that comes has a string attached to it. And, we experienced that when we did the mask thing, because we missed out on a couple of grants because of that. So, because they use that to try to bring you into compliance. But we can't. To provide the services that we provide, we can't not accept outside monies. Would be my statement on that.
Lena Rigo, in addition, there are a couple of things. One, they fund small businesses. Small businesses right now, we all know, they can't get employees that are willing to work. And that's a major problem here. Okay. Secondly, they go to low income housing. Interest rates for housing, even if the house is not that expensive, interest rates drive it up if people can't afford it. It seems to me there's a bit of an exercise in futility here.
Mhm. Thank you.
It's a very sad reality, but I agree with Kevin that you can't live without grants the way the current situation is structured. And we've allowed this to happen where Denver and Washington DC can claw all that money from us and then piddle it back to us and tell us how to spend it. That's what we have to work on, is getting better, more responsive government to where more things are controlled locally than through the state and federal government.
Absolutely.
Matt,
It's the strings. What strings are attached? There are always strings when the money comes. It's in the springs. And what's that spring gonna do for the community as a whole? I agree with everything that was said here by Bill and Ms. Anderson, no question.
you have something?
Yeah, I would, but go ahead and let her talk first, because I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I noticed that I noticed that one of the things that it could not be used for was production of food. Agriculture.
Yeah, I think you did read that.
Yeah, and the food service industry has to put 20% down, where all the rest of them have to put 10% down. And small business administration through any of the large banks is 200% collateral to open up a restaurant, especially if you've never owned one before. So 200% collateral. So it could be your retirement fund, but then you still got to come up with the other 100% collateral. So food service industry is bad, but food production should be something that definitely should be able to get a loan for. The biggest string attached to any give out, whether it's grandma's birthday money or government returning some of our income tax, is our dependency, right? Is we've gradually became more and more dependent upon these, and then we get used to this, and now we go, wait a minute, I have to have my road paved because I've got an $80,000 vehicle that I want to drive on that road, and I don't want to pound my $80,000 vehicle. I don't want it to get muddy when I drive down the road. So it's this snowball effect has happened over the last 50, 60, 100 years, and it's gonna not change overnight, but I think we definitely here can look at the strings that go, well, you can do this, but you can't do this, or we won't give you the money unless you accept all these programs that come with it. So, and you guys can help us go, yeah, we're okay with that one, but this one, we don't like the agenda that's coming with it or whatnot, so I'll just provide that.
How exactly can we help on that kind of stuff when, like, even on these agenda items that you have listed? I really don't know what you're talking about, a lot of acronyms and things like that, so how can people help? You just don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me help you, Joy, because I appreciate you. And all the citizens, we have a unique opportunity here in this county because we've attracted a lot of people, not just the people that wanted to bail out of COVID and come up here to hide, and we stood tall and we stand tall because we know we've got capabilities. We got people wanting to help, people wanting to donate, people wanting to work. Our budget is about 50-50 almost grants and tax money. So we got a $14 million budget, and 9 of it is taxes, basically, about 6 to 7 million. So we have you to do what you ask. We can stand tall, and we have. In COVID, we did tell the governor, we can't follow your mandates. They're not, they call them mandates, making scary like it's a law. It's not a law. It wasn't a law. And we said, we can take care of our own selves better than you guys telling us what to do that's best for the masses, for example, they said, you stop riding bicycles. You can't ride your bikes because you're on trails in Cherry Creek up in Denver, you might run over somebody and infect them. Well, in Custer County, you're 10 miles between bicycles, you can do that. But, to literally do that, you're following rules that are not real or rational. And we said, we stopped finally. We said, we're not going to do it, and we're going to take care of ourselves. And they did exactly what you would expect the politicians to do, to hold you hostage, extort you. They called me on a Friday night at 4:30. They sent an email that said, you better come under compliance or you're going to basically lose your money. You're going to run the risk of not getting any more funds from us. And it was a veiled threat. It was really strong. You have until 5 o'clock on Saturday to tell us your answer. 24-hour extortion letter, right? And so I waited until 4:30 that evening after we'd taken that vote, and we said we're not going to follow it. And said, I'm sorry, I can't get a quorum. We're having a meeting on Wednesday, which we were, and I'll get back to you Thursday. And never heard from them again, other than they had that letter that was going to extort. Although, and Kevin was right, it was hard on Dr. Brown for a while because they kept trying to ignore him, but they can't in the end because it's bad. The governor tried to dodge it. So if you want us to do that, and I'm all 100% behind it, Second Amendment, First Amendment, all that, we've signed. Even the red flag law, we said we're not going to follow. We did that already. And so the more we can do, the more we will do to keep our values, our programs that we have, and our citizens doing what we're doing today. But it takes a strong community to do that. You just can't point your finger at us and say, let's do it. We need help. And so good ideas. I'm glad to hear that people, we're lucky. We have people in all walks of life, experiences, capabilities that we can then leverage. And if it wasn't for the grants and the volunteers are another third of the effort. The volunteers are treated just like employees too. And we need them, except on the roof at the shed.
Right.
So thank you for wanting to know and follow that, and we'll try to do better on acronyms and making sure you understand it. Shoot, that Verizon thing's a good example. It's We did that with AT&T initially. You saw the big antenna that came, that's over by Round Mountain now. A lot of complaints. We went to the meetings on broadband meetings and AT&T was there and you ended up talking to people. Even though the meeting had a different purpose, you can still make contacts and you get other things to happen. And we got the AT&T tower. One of them. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Question on the grant itself. I understand that we have a representative on the administrative board of that grant program.
Not,
Is that
We're supposed to have.
supposed to have?
You're volunteering then?
Keyword there,
I
not.
hear volunteering.
In
I need that.
in that grant program, are there actual dollar amount allocations to each county?
No, it's
No,
per
by
business that applies.
So a county like Fremont, just for example, I'm not picking on them, they could flood the program with applications.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Got to get your oar in the water quick and have a good one. And by the way, rural counties do get a lot of help because that's the big deal. You know, that's why we get a lot more grants. Unfortunately, that's a lot more extortion too, because they want rural counties to.
And they do make a concerted effort to make sure that is not the case to where the funds get dispersed in all of the counties. But it is on an application process. Sure.
So Joy, you make an excellent point, a little more detail to understand, the acronyms and or the underlying details, and the key is in the small print, as we all know. And what they expect, or you can use the word extortion, but to continue on that thought process I had earlier, I was trying to be respectful of people's time, is we will have to take some grants being a smaller county, but we have to understand what we're committed to.
Right.
And what we're agreeing to.
That's our job.
And making sure, and let us be aware of it and let us say, hey, we like this, or no, we don't like that.
Yeah.
And part of the issue that I'm seeing, to what Commissioner Epps said, was Americans have become lazy for the past 40, 50 years. And that's basically since, I was a kid. You see this gradual decline on convenience. Paved road versus a dirt road. I have this fancy car. Don't want to get into all the details of it, but we don't want to engage in the community. We don't want to volunteer at the public school, but then we're not happy with what they're doing. My own children involved, we committed to being heavily involved in their activities, so we knew what was going on. And I know you all have, many of you have children here and grandchildren, so I'm just using these as examples for us to kind of say, we're gonna have to, especially in this size county, we're gonna have to come together as a community. We have differences, but we also have similarities. And we're gonna have to find a way to work together. And one thing we need is, because of that thing sitting in front of all y'all, computer and machines, you would think it takes less people to run our government and to run our community. But we're hiring more people. But the citizens don't think you need that. Because in reality, things should be easier with the power of that machine sitting in front of you. So part of that, what I'm saying, is we need less government, less county employees. And we need to share with the community and it's up to us to engage.
Right.
We're all sitting here today, so there you go.
Mhm. And I would say too, real quick, and we'll try to get moved on here so we can move along a bit. Speaking to that, sir, the more services that you want and require, the more it costs. And the more quote unquote protection you want from this or that, the more freedom you give up. And we all know that, and we speak to that. But that is, that's the direct correlation on that. I have made a statement before. I would love to just go back and not have one single grant in this county. I know we can't do that. But it would make, in one essence, it would make things so much better. And so
What is the penalty if you default on a grant? On one of those grants?
if you don't meet the deliverables on them, depending on the grant, I believe, at the very least, probably what the unspent money would be returned. On the other end of that would be all of the monies for that grant return. And then depending, some grants are reimbursable, to where you spend the money first and then you put in reimbursements. Some are different matches. Some of them are upfront or fully funded grants. It all depends on the grant and the situation.
That's a good point, too, because, that's why they hedge it. They make you pay first, we'll reimburse you, so you don't get the chance to be home.
And this particular grant that they're applying for, it is not the county applying for the grant. This is this particular entity through UACOG that is applying for this grant so they can administer these programs that they are doing.
See, the sad part about it is it's real still citizens' money. Grants are milked from the citizens of the country and the state, where the money comes from.
I know from personal experience, having a grant of $140 million, that the money was wasted and it was given in bonuses, etc. And at the end of the day, nothing was returned and the government was built.
Yeah. You see that now.
And to reply to David on, so I've watched companies that I've worked for go from 3 or 4 HR people to groups of 20, 25 real quick because of government, federal regulations, and they're doing the same thing to our little counties.
Yeah.
So now it's not just machines that we need, computers and such, it's the people to track and input all that information and make sure that it goes out to the people. So we have, and as well as I do, Denver is what Denver is run by. We don't have a conservative viewpoint there or voting. We don't have enough members. We have a few, but we don't have enough. So what we end up with is bigger and bigger government and more regulations that make our government bigger. And we're just responding to what they mandate us to do. So
Unfunded mandates.
yeah, absolutely right. Because they're not funding the additional people Kelly need or Virginia Trujillo need or the assessor needs. We are. So.
Anything else on this subject here on this grant? Okay, I have a motion on the floor to approve the Upper Arkansas Area Development Corporation CDBG grant. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries. Next item is a consideration of releasing the August 16th BOCC executive session audio for a core request.
So we talked about, I'll move that we release the August 16th BOCC executive session audio.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
All right. So I do have a motion on the floor to release the August 16th BOCC executive session audio for a core request. That will bring us to discussion here at the table. All three of us have been in possession of that.
Yep, I listened to it.
And
See no reason why we can't.
I And yeah, there's nothing on there that will do anything one way or the other. That being said, I don't believe that that is a road that should be gone down. I mean, there is a time and a place and a reason for executive sessions, and I would oppose releasing this, not for personal gain for me or anything of that nature, because I believe it will be released, but I will make my statement that you tend to set, I wouldn't say we're setting a precedent by doing that, but you set up an expectation then that any and every executive session then is available to anyone, that it takes away, basically it takes away any I'm not sure what my word is there, but the sanctity, I guess, of an executive session of itself. Sometimes during those you get frank and honest, open discussion. If you start releasing all of those, you will not have proper participation in those discussions and things of that nature. And I just, I don't believe this is a road we would like to go down. That'll be my statement. Anything else from the table?
So I listened to that, executive session. And you are correct. Things can, get heated, or comments could be made in an executive session that maybe shouldn't be said, but you're shrouded in that executive session that gives you some privilege that you take that you wouldn't take in an open session. In a private conversation with you, I might let some things fly out that I wouldn't say here with all these witnesses. And so I don't want to set a precedent too that we just start releasing, that we don't just start releasing every executive session. And I hate when precedent is set at times, because then there could be no challenge to thought that maybe wasn't correct in the past, or things have changed and we need to look at, maybe this isn't right. And I know that was the precedent my family has sat in that pew at church for the last 40 years. Why would we ever change that? And maybe we need to make that change. I've listened to it. I believe that a lot of what was said in there could have been said in open session, minus the thoughts, personal thoughts and the personal feelings aside.
I would add to my comment a little bit. If we wanted to pick and choose, I could pick a couple of executive sessions that I would love to throw out there and let everybody listen to. I'm not going to. That is privileged information, and it's not my job to release that information. That is the reason for the executive session. And these would have the potential of being damaging recordings.
The ones you want to release, you're saying.
I'm not saying I want to.
No,
I'm saying if we were going to go down that road, there are executive sessions that could be released that could be very damaging. And so if you're going to release this one, do we Shoot, do we amend the motion and say we'll release all of the executive sessions for the past year? Do we want to do that? No, we don't. There is a reason that process is set up, and I don't believe we should go down that road. You may speak, sir.
Okay, I hear you. However, we set the precedent or not. It's our option. This isn't a request for all of them. It's a request for one of them. I personally view executive session should be used sparingly. It's that's the whole point of what we do as a government. It's that transparency is key. And I don't believe anything that was done in that executive session needed to be done in the executive session. And I think to quelch the rumors and other thoughts that people have because of the process that was followed in the past on this particular issue, it's important for the citizens to be able to hear that executive session, make their own judgment. And I think we ought to honor that request. And like I said, we control the precedents. You know, there's no, this isn't like opening putting your thumb in the dike of the dam. I don't think.
Okay.
I think it's for our benefit to proceed with a clean bill of health and a new board of commissioners move forward off of this piece that we hit here with this county manager, the way it was handled. I think we can move forward on it.
And I believe if you would have, I would have liked to have seen you participate in that. And you could have made an objection and say, we need to do this downstairs. Might have been the prudent way to do that. Rather than refuse to go to that and then come back on the backside. That would be my opinion on that.
And I agree, Kevin. As a citizen at that point in time, sitting out there in that audience, I was hoping Bill, even though he objected to the executive session, I feel like it was his duty to enter that executive session to at least be a witness for the people that he represents for his district. Now that is all in the past. As
That's
far
true.
as that action that he didn't attend.
Anything else here at the table?
Bill Parker. The idea of executive sessions is a good idea. And they're set up and they're allowed for specific purposes. But I think the problem is we're holding too many executive sessions for things that do not come under the original purpose for having executive sessions. We should be leaning more toward transparency than secrecy. In this particular case, we had a confluence of events that I think the public needs to be more informed about. And that's why this particular tape is being requested. I don't believe in my mind that a precedent is being set. But I also think the fact that tapes of executive sessions could be subject to release to the public may be a cause for more discipline on the part of the commissioners for the reasons they're holding an executive session and what is said in those executive sessions. Absolutely. I agree with Bill. Absolutely. The public's business, us, is the public's business. And the public's business is to be carried on in public. Totally. And I'm shocked to hear that maybe we shouldn't release some executive sessions because things were said in the executive session that we wouldn't have said in public. That's a shocking statement. That anything is said concerning the public's business should be said in public. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Matt Miles. Executive sessions have a very limited purpose in the law. A couple of examples are this. There's an employee issue with an existing employee that needs to be discussed in public for the protection of that existing employee. In private, I mean, obviously, that's the proper subject of an executive session. Secondly, a lawsuit that concerns and involves the county. I can name a couple of examples. Jordan Hedberg's lawsuit. Second, Jackie Hobby's upcoming situation. In that case, this board is dealing with our money. How to spend our money wisely, whether to defend the lawsuit, to settle the lawsuit, to sit in private with the county attorney or whoever it may be, an outside counsel, to discuss options, strategies, and how to wisely spend our money in connection with that matter. But if it's public business, we're entitled to hear about it. And that is the reason that we have requested that tape. Our contention is that was public business. It should have been discussed in public involving this new hire of this manager of the county. It was, if you look at the list of the job duties, was to run this county, to cede your authority as elected officials to an unelected official. And that's why it was so hotly contested. And we're asking for those tapes. And we probably are going to ask for more of those tapes from the executive sessions that pertain or relate to Mr. Wilson and the hiring of Mr. Wilson, because that was completely our business, public business. And we contend we're entitled to that information, those tapes. And it's very simple why. The Mr. Wilson situation had two parts, has two parts associated with it. The first part is very simple. Does he have a right to keep the money? However much it is, $40,000 or $50,000 for 5 days more or less on the job. Does he have a legal right to keep the money? And that involves a two-part analysis. First, were the Colorado statutes followed as they should have been, and they are required to be followed prior to this commission? Our people, elected people, our elected commission, ceding their duties to us, to an unelected official or person to run this county. That's the first thing. The second thing is this. It's no secret. Our reading of the law, looking at it, is that if something takes place in an executive session that was public business, it should have been discussed in public or that executive session took place, then the fact that occurred taints the entire commission meeting at which activities involving what was discussed in the executive session take place. And let me be real clear about it. If something was discussed in that executive session that should have been discussed in public, then this commission cannot come out and cure that by then talking about it in public. This commission then has to have a do-over, a start over, before it can take any further action in connection with what went on at that meeting. And specifically, Mr. Day, was your signature on that contract a valid signature at that meeting? Or is that contract with Mr. Wilson a nullity? Does it not, does your signature not exist on that contract. So there are two parts to this analysis and a couple of subparts. And we've asked for the tape because our contention is going to be if there are things that were discussed in that meeting that should not have been, then your signature on the contract with Mr. Wilson is a nullity. The contract doesn't exist. And he owes that money back to the county. It's very simple why we asked for it. That's really all I've got to say about it. We're not hiding anything. We've made known exactly what we're doing here. And why, when I say we, there's several of us that are involved in this. There's no secret what we're doing. And the first step was to request that tape of that meeting to see if that may have tainted the entire commission meeting that took place here about a month ago. And if it did, then the signature contract with Mr. Wilson's invalid.
Thank you. Joy,
I just want to further add based on the comments that I've heard between the commissioners, when I hear things like, I don't want to set a precedent for releasing this tape. It kind of makes it sound like we're asking for something we're not entitled to. Or that we're doing something wrong by asking for it. And my understanding of the executive sessions, as Matt just laid out, there is only a couple situations where we're not entitled to that information. Which is why we hope each of you have reviewed it. And if any of that kind of material is on there, you are not letting us have that part. We just want to know the part that's the public business. But I also don't want to be characterized as somebody who is asking for something I'm not supposed to have. And I find your comments lead that way.
I didn't, when I said precedents where I don't want to start precedent, what I'm stating is I don't want to sit up here and go and start picking, oh, these I'm gonna let you have and these I'm not. What I am hoping to do myself as a commissioner is use that executive sessions for what it's meant for. Personnel issues, lawsuits, maybe get some legal advice, which should take me no more than about 5-10 minutes, and we should be out of it. From my standpoint, from being in the executive sessions before, but so setting a precedent means to me that I'm not gonna start. This is a one-up case, and the next case, I hope there is no more after this. I hope it is very transparent. I hope that we can communicate to the citizens that we are being transparent in every decision we make. Other than in a personnel issue, personnel matter, or for legal advice that may result because of a lawsuit or some circumstance that's beyond my knowledge right now.
Maybe the precedent set would be that the commissioners would consider what we're asking for, and it would be a precedent that you would be changed for the three of you rather than the county.
No, good point.
go to you and then I have a hand online.
Okay, so Matt made a very eloquent statement there, so there's not a lot I can add to it, but the fact that this whole maneuver was done behind an executive session originally to position, the way I understand it, for that position, for that job, is a big problem. And to continue the executive sessions, when we were having a discussion at the BOCC again and push all the citizens out was not correct. And it needs to be, the county needs to be ran with transparency. So unless it, like Matt mentioned, a personnel issue or some other type of issue, we're not asking for a precedent. To set a precedent, to start releasing all of them. And Kevin, your comment to look and say, there's other sessions I would like to make available. Is a thinly veiled thread. So you said you wouldn't, I understand,
I'm
but I
not
mean,
going there.
I understand, but I'm just saying. That didn't need to be said, because there's citizens that are really worked up on this thing, and they made their voice heard. They didn't want a county manager, but somehow that continued to push forward.
inappropriately and not following all statutes and knowing that there's change coming more than likely, should have been put on the back burner. So now we're having to address this and ask for stuff so we can actually defend and find out what really happened. So back to transparency. So it needs to be transparent. There's very rarely is there a need for an executive session. But they've been used a lot recently to do some things that shouldn't have been done and hide things that the citizens want to know. I'll just leave it there.
Thank you. Jordan,
Yeah, what meeting executive session is being requested? What was the date?
the date of that meeting would be the August 16th BOCC executive session that was held here in Wetmore.
Okay, August 16th. Thanks, appreciate it.
Anything else from the room? Anything, I didn't see any others online. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to release the August 16th BOCC executive session audio for core request. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. The motion carries 2-1. Thank you. Sir,
We'd like to play the tape now.
you will be provided the tape, but I don't think it would be prudent to play it now.
Why is
In this
that?
room, you would not hear it.
Why
Very
is
good.
that?
Because
It's open to the public. Let's let the public hear it.
it is available to the public at this time.
So
So,
let's let the public hear it.
The audio is very tough to hear, so have some good headphones on your laptop to be able to hear it. And don't go try to get them from Kelly today. Let her get those prepared. Let her get some prepared and go see her tomorrow. That be okay, Kelly? Cause she's gotta have time to get those, cause she didn't know what our decision was gonna be today, so. It should be available tomorrow.
thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Go ahead, Matt.
I need one copy. And I can go ahead and put it in my deal. And if I have email addresses, then they can download that one copy. And I've got equipment in the truck to play it. I think it can be heard
You can get your copy tomorrow from Kelly.
tomorrow.
That's what Lucas just stated, sir. Thank you.
What time tomorrow is the court? Also, 8 o'clock.
Okay, the next item we have on our agenda is consideration of the name change on a road in Silver West Estates. From Malibu, spelled Malibou Lane, to changing to Malibu, just with a BU at the end, as was originally intended, I believe. And this is out by the airport.
Kevin, before you, I don't know how you guys are gonna handle this, but, I was thinking about it yesterday, road name changes, you've always done with the resolution. So
Yeah, we need it.
I don't know how you want to do that.
And we don't have a resolution for this or for the other one on the agenda, is that correct? I would say we could probably handle the business of it today and make a decision and have a resolution for the month-end meeting to just approve the resolution. If we decide to move forward with that, are you gentlemen good with that?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. So this is from, the request is I believe from Zachary Kinney and Lauren Muscat. You have a letter in your folders from them that is also signed by the other lot owners on that road, which is Ray Pedro and Grant Brownfelter. And you also have a plot map that they have furnished in regards to that. I don't know if they are online. Is there anyone online in regards to this issue?
Hi, Kevin. This is Zach Kenny.
Hello, Zach. Thank you for being with us today. If you would like, sir, I'd let you speak at this time to address us and let us know the information you have for us today.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, this is, to kind of match the aviation theme of the neighborhood. We are just asking for the road to be named after an airplane. Actually, there's a Piper Malibu spelled like the city in California, Malibu. So I think the original spelling was just made in error by the developer back in the late 80s. And the street sign, I provided a picture to Kevin. The street sign has always said Malibu in the manner that we're asking for it to be changed to. So we're just asking for the plat to be updated so that we can officially use the proper name and get that updated with the post office and other parties.
Okay, I would ask a question real quick of you. I know we dealt with a name change here not that long ago as well. Have you experienced difficulties as far as your delivery services and things because of the difference in the spelling on the road as it exists now and what the intended name you think was supposed to be?
So the only difficulty I've experienced were due to my own lack of, signage on my property. It's a very small road, as you can see from the plat map. It's 100, 150 yards long, and Google doesn't have it, and nobody has it. It's not in the U.S. Postal Service database because none of us have mail being delivered yet to our property. Our lot and the one next to us are the first two that are building on and developing the property. So we're trying to get this resolved before we all turn on our mail with the U.S. Postal Service, just to avoid any issues of the old and the new being in databases and things like that.
Okay. And just for clarification, so everyone here knows, lots 5, 6, and 7 are the only lots that adjoin this road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you have signatures from the other lot owners that they are on board with this action.
Yes, sir.
Anything from,
No,
No, there's no issue.
I'd
with
be
this.
okay with
okay,
They should have spelled it right in the first place.
okay. I would entertain a motion. I think what we would do, and I'll speak to that, Zach. I think you might have heard Kelly when she was talking to us that we would make a motion to move forward with this and then have the actual resolution in front of us at the month-end meeting, but we can go ahead and approve moving forward with this to get the resolution drawn up here today.
So I move that we accept the change of the name from Malibu to U, you to a Malibu spelled correctly, would just be you. For the consideration.
I'll second.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to approve the name change from Malibu Lane spelled B-O-U to Malibu spelled B-U, and have that resolution for the month-end meeting. Further discussion here at the table.
None, sir.
Anything from the room?
David, any expense for this maneuver?
Not per se, it would require JD's office to go in and change that on his end and
Typo.
So
And
no
then-
signage, no printing of anything. That the county pays.
correct.
Okay.
So cost of drawing up the resolution.
Good question.
Oh,
Okay. Let me check online. Nothing online. So I have a motion on the floor to approve the name change from Malibu BOU to Malibu BU. And having that resolution come before us at the month end meeting. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. We do have another one on a name change. Zach, thank you very much for being with us today. And we will have that paperwork on the month end meeting, which will be on September 28th, if you wanted to, if you were available to zoom in at that time or be here to hear the final consideration on that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next item would be the consideration of naming roads in the Bridge subdivision. Let me get to that one.
I printed a bigger map for you guys too, because that one's kind of hard to see.
Okay. The three that you have highlighted
They own.
are the ones that they own, so that would be the other. Do you know who owns the parcels on the first section of the road by chance?
They're all owned by the bridge.
Okay, so they have not sold yet. Okay.
And these people, I believe, are online, because they were gonna call in.
Do we have anyone online in regards to the bridge?
Good morning,
name
Patrick,
changes?
Patrick and Dana McAllister.
Good morning. Glad to have you with us here this morning. I will extend to you, just like I did with Zach here a moment ago, if you would like to speak to us in regards to this.
We've purchased parcel 1, 5, and 10. In the, I'm sorry, 4, 5, and 10. In the Bridge subdivision. And we are building, we're building our home out there. My wife and I, Dana, 40 years, and our 2 children. And when the subdivision was made, those roads were not named. So we were asking if we could name them. Epic Storm is the name of our horse. And McAllister, of course, is our last name, McAllister Way. But we also, when we went to Hooray for one of our anniversaries, we passed through Ridgeway, and we realized that in the movie True Grit, everybody was going to the McAllister. So it's a kind of a Western theme name. So we come before you to see if we can get this done.
So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone on the McAllister Way, then I'm taking.
Yeah.
Now, you know, had we had known, we would have really milked that when we went there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same.
And for the people here in the room and listening, this subdivision sits off of County Road 255, Oak Creek grade, on the north end of Highway 96. And what they are wanting to name is Epic Storm, comes off of 255, and then McAllister Way fronts the 3 lots that these individuals have bought. And then the 4 parcels that are on either side of the one they want to name Epic Storm have not been purchased at this time, so they are not individually owned. And these, just to reiterate, these roads were platted but not named. And so they are wanting to do that at this time.
So I move that we accept the request and allow that to happen, same as we did the other one, and follow it up with a resolution.
I would second that motion. So discussion here at the table.
I agree.
So
May I say something?
you may,
If there are any costs for this, like what was spoke about in the Malibu, we have no problem, paying those costs.
I believe that it's a minimal administrative cost involved in that. So, and we have not charged for that in the past. I would hate to make you a sore example right off the bat when you were not aware of something like that. So we would need to have that in place before we considered that, I believe.
He
So,
can paint his own
But
sign.
thank you for that. Anything else from here at the table?
No, sir.
I would just state that when they do start living there and moving in the mail service, I know the issues we've dealt with in the past also involve problems with delivery from like UPS and FedEx when there is confusion on the roads themselves. So I think I would be in support of this issue.
And JD, when I talked to JD about it, the county assessor, he said that when you guys accept the road name like this, it's a lot of it's for 911 purposes, so that it doesn't happen. They know where they're going. Yeah.
Correct. That came up before as well, and thank you for bringing that up. Anything from the room on this? Let me check online. Don't see anything there. So I do have a motion, and I am sorry, I did not retain your name, sir.
Patrick McAllister.
Thank you, Patrick. The same situation would follow with you guys as well, that we would approve this today and have the resolution, our month-end meeting on September 28th to approve that resolution.
Okay.
And so if you would be, if you would like to, you can attend that meeting as well.
Yes, we will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I do have a motion on the floor to name the two roads in the bridge subdivision. The first being Epic Storm, spelled EPIC STORMM. And the second road being named McAllister Way. That's McAllisterWay. Did I get that spelling correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you guys for being with us today. We appreciate it. It helps a lot when you can speak to it.
thank you very much.
you.
All right. Next item on our agenda would be the consideration of waiver of subdivision regulations, the SB 35 for Schluter.
I am presenting this for them. The planning commission did do a email vote. It was a unanimous vote to
Can you
recommend.
speak up, Dorothy? You can use the mic. if you'd like.
Sorry. It was a email vote from the planning commission. They did, all 7 that voted recommend approval to allow the Senate Bill 35 over for the Schluter. This situation, it's a lot in Rosita. When Rosita, the town, was dissolved, this particular lot was not granted permission for a well. The lot was given to the county at that time, and then the county then sold it to Smith Mann, who is now selling this to Mr. and Mrs. Schluter. For some reason, when it was subdivided, it was not given the well permit, the authority for a well. I've spoke to the Division 2 Water Resources in Denver.
all they need from us is, a letter stating that we will approve that. So I drafted a letter if we decide to approve the well. It will be for a household well on, I believe it is on a 14.72 acre lot that the Schluters have purchased recently.
You said 14.72.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the description, Dorothy. I move that we accept the waiver as requested for the subdivision regulations. To the subdivision regulations, SB 35, plans for Schluter.
A motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I do have a motion on the floor to approve the waiver of subdivision regulations, the SB 35. And that would be for Mark Schluter and Lucinda Schluter. Discussion here at the table.
No.
Anything from the room on that one? And I have nothing online. So I do have a motion on the floor to approve the SB 35's regulations, waiver of the subdivision regulations for Schluter. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries.
Hi, this is Mark Schluter. I'm
Yes, sir.
online. I just wanted
I'm
to say
sorry, I gave you a chance to speak, sir. I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
that's fine. Just wanted to say thank you very much. My wife and I are going to be very ecstatic. So we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice to have water, isn't it?
It is. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Before you move forward,
I was going to,
that's it before you.
okay, go ahead, sir.
I should have mentioned this before. I'll back up to the request for the executive session. I will gladly save Kelly the hassle of recording and give the committee my copy. And so I can do that and save some time. But then it came down for it, so I'm more than happy to let them have it.
Good enough. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Additional items of business today here.
No, I can take it.
Got a hand up.
So, is that for public comment?
Yes, sir, Judge.
Okay, I'm coming right up to that. Let me announce it and you can have,
Thank you.
I'll call on you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that brings us to our public comment. Matt, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify then, the recording of the executive session is effective this meeting in the public domain. And we're entitled, allowed to have a copy of that effective this meeting, that executive session. Is that right?
I believe Bill is going to make that available to you
Okay,
as
that's
soon as
fine.
possible.
I just wanted,
Yeah.
didn't want it in our possession.
It is,
It was clear that we had a legal right to it because of the waiver of the privilege.
that is correct. That was released today at this meeting.
Thanks.
Okay.
Joy Anderson then. For expedience sake, so that the rest of the public can also know it was indicated, I'd like to just request that we could be on the agenda next week with the findings of the state. So that we have a quick turnaround for you and for everybody else for what we found.
Okay. That will be for the month-end meeting.
When is the next meeting?
It'll be the 28th is our next meeting.
Yes.
And you will have met with me by that time as well. So
Yes.
Yeah.
if you have your findings, yes, we can do that and we will. I guess before I speak to that, would this be, if this is going to be a lengthy process, I'm going to ask you gentlemen, do you feel that we should have that at a regularly scheduled BOCC meeting or have a special meeting at which, so that this could be addressed at that time?
I think I need to clarify, it's just about the state that I want to come back and give a report on first. We still have much to look at. I just didn't want, to be brought up today in today's meeting, but then be weeks and weeks and weeks out before anybody even knows whether we found anything or not, because this has become kind of a big deal to actually get this tape. So I'd like to be able to squelch any rumors or any false reports on it as quick as possible. But our final report will not be ready.
That's fair.
I believe that would be prudent. So I will try to get that on the agenda. I will verify with our attorney just to make sure on that. And if anything changes, I will let you know. But I believe that will be the case. Go ahead.
Let me, before he gets another chance.
Okay,
On
sorry,
her
sir.
request. I'll say it again, because you're gonna meet with Kevin next time. If there's any other things that you want on an agenda, whether it's the end of the month or others, because of the other questions you have, we need to get it in time to decide just what he said, whether we handle them in that next meeting or a special meeting. Just let us know.
I know that we can't respond to all those questions in one of our meetings here, and we're gonna have to do a lot of research and get answers from other places. But I do wish the questions could at least be entered into the agenda so that the public would know what we're looking into.
Sure.
And if they have any comment, they can reach out to us. And I think they might be more willing to do that if they know the kind of questions we're asking. So I would still like to have them on the agenda, even if we don't discuss
An
it.
attachment to the agenda.
And I don't have a problem with that. I think going through question by question
Yes.
at a meeting would not be prudent. I think where you sit down with the clerk and where you're gonna sit down with me, you're coming to the people that have the answers to specific questions in that list so that you can get your answers. I don't think it's something that would be we don't have all the players at the table at a meeting for you to come in and do that as at a BOCC meeting. But then if I think we could have those entered into the record. And so they are public knowledge of what these questions are. And then when you are completely done with everything as well, you will be awarded that's not the right term, but you will be afforded an opportunity to come back to us with what you have put together and compiled. Matt.
For sake of efficiency. For you guys, what I addressed earlier was the first part of the analysis. Whether Mr. Wilson has the right to keep the money. Whether he does or not, second part of the analysis that I did not refer to or address at all here, which will be addressed later, this for your edification, is how he came into the possession of the money and how what appears to be a complete breakdown in the internal accounting controls of the county in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, able to get the check. And then the check wasn't stopped or anything else. So that's a whole nother analysis in and of itself, which Mr. Riggio is really in a position to address and look at, because that's what he does or what he did for his professional career. So a lot of those questions concern that, and we're not in a position, I don't think, to get at those questions right now. So I'm not going to speak for Lynn. He can
And you're right, that is another separate issue. And some of that is addressed in the questions that you guys brought forth. I believe there's 21 questions or something like that. So yes. And so some of those answers will be given on Wednesday.
Bill Parker. I want to personally say thank you to the Board of Commissioners for releasing the ticket in the interest of the citizens' right to transparent governance. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else from the room? I had a hand on that, let me see that. Jordan,
Thanks. I think there's a meeting at 1 o'clock. I remember Commissioner Canada talking about like a leadership meeting with the staff at 1 p.m., but I'm not seeing an agenda online. Is there something going on today?
Yes, there is.
It should be
It's
online, Jordan.
Oh, okay. But is it 1 o'clock at the courtroom then?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't see it, so I wasn't sure. Thanks.
and is
That's a present.
what's the makeup of that meeting?
That's the presentation by what used to be called the Tiger Team, is now the committee that's gonna give a presentation of the way forward for Custer County. In light of the county commission, the county manager not being there, it's how we're gonna proceed with leadership development, strategic planning, organizational efficiencies and those kinds of things for the, so that the employees understand what can happen in the future and how it's gonna try to bring us together as one team. Doing, world-class operations for service to the community as well as development of our employees. And people that are coming on board and all. It's just this briefing that.
And could I get some clarification, because I think I've heard some confusion on that. Is that a public meeting? Is
Yes.
that an employee meeting? What is the makeup of that meeting?
It's a public meeting that is going, it's a business meeting that the county's having. Full transparency, no question. There's a question and answer with the employees is what we've got. The public's more than welcome to come and watch and participate at our discretion during the meeting. If they, that it wasn't intended to have questions and answered by the public. And rather than having a closed session, it is it's an open meeting.
It's open to the public, but it's actually an employee.
It's an
meeting.
employee meeting, that
Okay.
an all hands meeting, so.
So
In
that's
the
what
interest of transparency, it's hard to, there's internal things that you guys don't care about and shouldn't, and there's other things that you might, so.
So I've had people ask me about it and I didn't actually have a good answer for them. And that's why I'm asking for
Really asked a
clarification on
good
that. So
question.
So this is a presentation about how it's already planned that we're gonna move forward.
It's a process of how we're gonna go forward. It's not, there's no,
Decisions have already been made.
now there has been no decision. This is a presentation of the
Will it be online?
process.
Will the meeting be online that we can zoom in?
Workshops are not online.
Pardon me?
They're not online normally.
So to attend, we have to come,
Come and watch.
and it's in the courthouse?
Yeah,
In the
court-
courtroom?
in the courtroom itself.
More than welcome to do that.
Anything else? Oh, I believe. Michael, do you have your hand up?
Hey, thanks, Commissioner. Since I'm on the guy on the docket at 1 o'clock,
There he is, yeah.
I thought I'd add a little clarity to what we're trying to do. At 1 o'clock is a workshop. It is not a briefing intended to result in any decisions being taken. There's not necessarily going to be any recommendations come out of it. It is an informational briefing attempted to outline a possible course of action that the county can adopt in part or in whole as it tries to move forward with professional development and developing a strategic vision. And that is it. So anyone is welcome to come. To some extent, there's wisdom in crowds, and the more the merrier, but it is an information brief for county employees and the commissioners about some things that they can consider as we move forward as a county government. That's all.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
Who is that?
Michael Foster.
Anything else? Seeing nothing, I will adjourn this meeting at 10:58 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kevin.